This is the map of South American Andes. Right next to the world's longest mountain range, a plane crashed at this point 52 years ago. The Andes mountain range are 15,000 feet high and extremely harsh. There is only cold and silence. It was surprising because in this 8,900 kilometers long South Island, the plane vanished after the crash. The authorities couldn't find the wreckage or any bodies, so they stopped searching. It was announced in the news that there were no survivors. People moved on, forgetting about the accident. But about 2.5 months later, after exactly 72 days, authorities received a message from the missing plane. It was a miracle, and Flight 571 became famous for surviving the crash. Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. If you are new to our channel, do consider subscribing, and if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up. And now, let me tell you the incredible story of Flight 571 in the Andes Mountains. It happened in October 1972. The plane took off from Montevideo, the capital of Uruguay. There were rugby players on board heading to Santiago, the capital of Chile, for a match. There were 40 passengers, including 5 crew members. When plane reached Argentina, a sudden bad weather forced it to land in the city of Mendoza. The captain made this decision because they were flying between Argentina and Chile, near the world's highest Andes mountain range. The mountains here are like a wall, and the weather can be very dangerous. The plane was to spend the night in Mendoza and then cross the mountains the next day when the weather improved. But on Friday the 13th of October, Flight 571 took off from Mendoza. Even though the distance of Santiago was only 180 kilometers, the Andes mountains were 15,000 feet high, making the journey risky. The pilot had flown this route many times before and was confident. As the plane took off, it headed south, but the pilot noticed thick clouds covering the landscape below, hiding everything from the view. They contacted the control tower for help, using radars and other methods. They tried to determine their location. When they reached a certain point, the pilot made a right turn, climbing to 18,000 feet above the Andes. They were relying on the air traffic control tower in Santiago to guide them safely. As Flight 571 approached Planchon Pass, it disappeared from the radar of the control tower. This wasn't unusual due to the limited radar signal caused by the mountains. The pilot tried to calculate their location using other methods and radioed Santiago control tower. They informed the tower they would reach Chile in a minute and requested permission to descend. Normally, plane reaches Curicó from Planchon Pass in 11 minutes, but Flight 571 covered this distance in only 3 minutes. The tower staff didn't understand what was happening because Flight 571 wasn't showing on the radar. They granted permission to descend without realizing the co-pilot had miscalculated the plane location. The pilot thought they were over Curicó, but they were actually crossing Planchon Pass. This led to a huge disaster as control awaited Flight 571. After receiving permission from the tower, the pilot turned the plane right and lowered its altitude. They encountered turbulence at first, but then they passed through a layer of white clouds. But soon they saw a huge mountain in front of them, realizing they were still in the Andes. The pilot tried hard to climb, but it was too late. The plane's tail collided with the mountain peak and broke off. The mountain was covered in snow, and the plane slid down without its tail and wings, coming to a stop. 12 passengers, mostly at the back of the plane, lost their lives instantly, while 33 others were saved but injured. The rear part of the plane was open, letting in freezing cold. They were stuck at an altitude of 11,500 feet in the Andes, where the temperature was minus 30 degrees Celsius. When they stepped out, they saw nothing but snow-covered mountains. They buried their comrades in the snow. News of the crash spread, but authorities didn't realize it happened in Argentina. A search operation began with 4 airplanes early in the morning. They searched the suspected areas all day but found no sign of the plane or any debris. Uruguay and Argentina joined the search, making it a total of 11 aircraft searching all day for Flight 571. Rescue plane passed over the survivors multiple times, but they couldn't be seen. A lipstick was found in the luggage and they used it to write SOS on the plane. They also made a cross on the ice with luggage bags, but rescuers still couldn't find them. After searching for several days, all passengers were declared dead on October 21, 1972, and the search operation ended. On the 11th day at the crash site, survivors found a radio in the cockpit. They listened to the news about the search being called off, leaving them with deep regret. Any hope for the survival was lost. And 5 more passengers who were injured also lost their lives at the crash site. Only 28 passengers remained on the plane. They collected debris and luggage to use the insulation against the freezing cold. They also made glasses from cockpit plastic to shield their eyes from the reflective ice. They also used seat covers and cushions to make snowshoes and insulation. By this time, they had only 8 chocolate bars, 3 jars of jam, some dried fruit, and some water left. When supplies ran out, they began eating clothing and cotton, which made some of them very ill. They were trapped in a part of the Andes where they couldn't go down or climb. To survive, they had to consume their dead by eating their flesh. This was a difficult decision, but hunger and weakness forced them. After 17 days, an ice storm struck, burying the plane under ice and killing 9 survivors. The others used whatever they could find to remove the ice and make space for oxygen. Their condition worsened day by day, and by December 12, 3 more had died. After losing few more survivors, the remaining 16 faced 2 options: wait for death or take a risk. On December 12, 1972, 3 rugby players, Parado, Canisa, and Vision, decided to climb Western Peak in hopes of finding help on the other side. It was a tough journey with no professional gear and freezing temperature of minus 30 degrees Celsius. They improvised warm clothing from sleeping bags and plain seats and then set out. After 3 days of hiking, they reached the top, only to find more snow-covered mountains and no signs of life. One person had to go because of the food shortage, but Prado and Canisa continued to search. They descended for 10 days, trekking 61 kilometers until they found a valley with greenery, some animals, and a flowing river. They drank from the river and saw a man on the horse across it, but the noise of the river preventing them from communicating with him. This local person wrote a message on paper, wrapped it in a stone, and threw it across the river to Prado and Canisa. They wrote down their situation and threw it back. The local person took the message to the Chilean authorities, who couldn't believe there were still survivors after 2.5 months. They immediately rescued Parado and Canisa. On December 27, 1972, 72 days after the crash, 3 helicopters rescued them all. The pilot was surprised to see the rugby players had climbed the mountain without proper gear. Eventually, all survivors were rescued and their dead comrades were buried in a grave. A memorial was built with stones, serving as a reminder that with courage, one can overcome even the toughest challenges. And that's it for today's episode of Let Me Tell You. I hope you find our videos informative and interesting. Let us know about your thoughts in the comments below. We value your feedback and want to hear your thoughts on this topic. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Let Me Tell You.